How much does housing cost in Russia? Where is it cheapest to live? What is the price of an apartment in Moscow? Today, we will talk about where and how Russian people live. Don't forget to put a like under this video and subscribe to the channel. It will really support our work. So, let's go. In Russia, it is customary to buy housing rather than rent it. Very often people inherit some kind of living space. We have already talked about this in this video. They can stay there or sell everything and move. In Russia, there is a preferential loan for buying housing. It is called a mortgage. The bank gives money to buy a house or apartment at a small interest rate, almost equal to the key rate. A person pays the money back every month. If he wants, he can pay off the debt long before the deadline. People in Russia earn an average of $450 a month. So many people try to choose cheaper housing to avoid taking on large debts. Let's take a look at where people with small incomes live and where people with large incomes live. The cheapest housing in Russia is in Vorkuta. There, 1 square meter of housing costs $86, 8,383 rubles. This is the most endangered city in Russia. It appeared in the Soviet Union. Here were correctional camps Gulag. Prisoners mined coal, and ordinary townspeople were engaged in organizing the work. Today, half of the houses here are abandoned. The town is 150 kilometers above the Arctic Circle on the permafrost. It is dark and very cold for almost half of the year, and people here often have health problems. It is difficult to transport food because of bad roads. It is almost impossible to leave here in winter. A person with even the lowest salary would not want to live in this place. Vyazniki is also an affordable city. Here a square meter of housing costs about $220, 20 to 1,368 rubles. The town is located in the Vladimir region. It is a historical place. Vladimir is one of the most ancient towns in Russia. Vyazniki is also an ancient town. It looks beautiful, unlike Vorkuta. Ancient Orthodox cathedrals and beautiful buildings have been preserved here. During the Soviet Union, several factories appeared here, but over time they went bankrupt. Now the residents of Vyazniki complain about the decline in the standard of living. There is little work. Hospitals do not work well. People leave here for big cities, so housing here is inexpensive. You might think that housing must be cheap in the north of the country, but it isn't. Many northern cities produce oil, gas, diamonds, metals, and other minerals. People get big salaries. In addition, the state pays extra to those who live in those regions to compensate for the poor living conditions and motivate them to work. Surgut is one of the oldest cities in Siberia. It is a center among mining cities. It is often ranked third in terms of living standards in Russia after Moscow and St. Petersburg. There is a lot of work here. So many Russians want to live here despite the long cold winter. The cost of 1 square meter of housing costs about $1,100, 106,830 rubles. Here you can not only work, but also have fun. In Surgut, interesting winter events are often held. There are a lot of restaurants and cafes, schools and hospitals work perfectly well. How do you think Russians live near Japan and the USA in the city of Vladivostok? Prices for 1 square meter of housing here are $1,620, 157,576 rubles. Vladivostok is a port city. Here are engaged in sea cargo transportation, fishing. There are various kinds of industry and trade. The climate is considered good, humid, warm summer, and plenty of sun in autumn and winter. The proximity of the sea and mountain ranges. The nature here is insanely beautiful. People like to come here on trips. Vladivostok's main problem is its remoteness from the capital of Russia. Previously, because of this, there was a very high crime rate here. Now, with the development of means of communication, the situation has improved, and it has become even more pleasant to live here. Sochi is Russia's most popular southern resort. There are very few warm places in the country, so the competition for sunny cities is very high. The average cost per square meter of housing in Sochi is almost $1,500 to 136,943 rubles. Sochi has access to the Black Sea. In summer, almost the whole country gathers here. The beaches are crowded. In winter, wealthy Russians come here to ski or snowboard. There is a luxurious ski resort Rozhakhutor, where all the cream of Russian society gathers. Most often apartments here are bought for business. They rent them to vacationers and earn good money on it. But the city is also good for living. There are many schools and hospitals, an excellent climate, and a developed economy. How much can housing in the former capital of the Russian Empire cost? The average price is more than $2,000 per square meter to 681 rubles, but these figures are very conditional. In St. Petersburg, there are both very cheap and very expensive apartments. St. Petersburg is considered the second capital of the Russian Federation. There are an insane amount of museums and libraries here. We told you about it in this video. The climate in St. Petersburg is very difficult. It is constantly cloudy, and there is a lot of precipitation. But everything else in the city is great. There are good schools and hospitals, many universities, many cafes, and parks. Cultural events are constantly taking place in St. Petersburg. In the past, people from St. Petersburg often traveled to Scandinavia by car. It only takes 4 hours to drive from St. Petersburg to Finland. Many people really want to live here, but it is very expensive for Russians. Many people live in huge buildings with thousands of small apartments. It is very difficult to buy an apartment in the center. The capital of Russia is one of the most expensive cities in Europe. The average price for 1 square meter of housing in Moscow is almost $3,000 to 193,122 rubles. Here, as in St. Petersburg, for this amount you are unlikely to buy housing in the center. In Moscow, huge apartment buildings far from the city center are also popular. Muscovites can get to work for several hours because of the constant traffic jams. Why do they live here? Moscow has very high salaries. Some people come here from small towns to earn money. When they get enough money, they come back because they can't afford to live in Moscow. Those who have enough money can live luxuriously. Moscow is one of the most comfortable cities to live in. There are many schools and hospitals, constant events, convenient and cheap public transportation. The city is beautifully landscaped. There are many parks and museums. Moscow is so luxurious that among Russians there is a saying Moscow is not Russia. Russia is a very big country. There are more than 1,100 cities here, and even more villages. Everywhere people live in different ways. Despite stereotypes, people in the Russian north can live very well. The provinces can be poor and rich, but all the cities of the country are very far behind Moscow. Unfortunately, the authorities developed the capital of Russia colossally better than the hinterland. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel to learn even more interesting facts about Russia. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.